All right, hello everybody, and welcome back. This is our second best of three of the evening here for the PGL Bucharest Major 2018 SEA qualifiers. It's two GSL groups. We're here in Group A, and it is Execration versus Boom ID. I'm Baseskip. Great to be here casting for you guys, and joining me once again is the wonderful Luminous Inverse. Lumi, how you going?
It's good. It's getting late.
Yes.
Want to go to bed?
Yep, it's 1 o'clock here in Australia, but we're gonna soldier on with some more Dota. Both teams have functional banners this time around, so that's a good sign. And we're gonna get ourselves into this draft where we're gonna be seeing some more Night Stalker banned out, compared to our earlier series where we saw AGV go up against Fnatic. Fnatic taking that series 2-0, of course. And I think all of the SEA series, I was having a look at the results from the other group, it's all been 2-0s so far. So we'll have to see if that trend continues in this series.
I think SEA is... I'm not sure if top-heavy is the right word to describe the region, but there's definitely a very clear divide with Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 teams. I would personally place Execration at Tier 2. Just based on kind of tournament result, the roster and whatnot, and Boom ID in the clear Tier 3 section. Although with that said, Execration is not playing with their full roster. In fact, they have 3 stand-in. So we'll see how they perform here today.
Yeah, but I think that Yaj is on the roster, but yeah, Carl and Nando are... I would guess standing in for, what's it? I think it's RR and Gabby. I want to say off the top of my head. A bunch of the players on this team have multiple nicknames that they've played under, and like even Raging Potato alone has played as Jay, Bimbo. He's gone by a bunch of different handles, so it can be a little bit difficult to keep everything lined up. But
what happened to James? Wasn't James their mid player?
Yeah, that's a good question, Lemmy. I'm not sure. We can do some.
Let me
do the old Liquipedia research. We'll see. I mean the roster lock window has just opened up, right? So we are back in swap season. Probably going to be seeing a couple of changes here and there as everybody finalizes their rosters towards TI. So, have to see what ends up happening.
James is no longer from the team.
Okay.
Yaj is their temporary stand-in for...
Disruptor.
No, the Yaj is just listed as a temporary stand-in.
Okay.
Basically, all of these players have, I believe, played some point or another on this roster. So.
Yep. Okay. Well, I mean, they probably got some synergy there. We'll see how it pans out.
5 seconds remaining.
And all of them are Filipino, so no language barrier here.
Yeah, always an important consideration. It's actually really interesting that I was talking about this to somebody the other day, that we just seem to be getting more and more international teams in Dota, right? And I guess that's a given, but I was also mentioning that in terms of this current year, it seems like the players are, especially with the new pro circuit, players seem to be much busier, and they're probably traveling way more and spending more time away from home anyway. So it doesn't really matter if your 5 players come from the same region originally. It feels like everybody's just traveling to events nonstop or boot camping in between. And in terms of having a whole team that comes from one country, it's starting to become more and more of a rarity.
5 seconds remaining.
Do you think that's
I guess it would matter.
Continue?
I was gonna say I guess it would matter for like language and communication, but that's probably not the. Yeah. If you're in the same team, you probably have communication, sorted out.
Well,
in terms
hopefully.
of whether maybe. I think for players that have like English as a comfortable first language, then or a second language even, I don't think that's a really big problem. But you do see some player kind of struggle with that.
I mean, even I guess Secret is a good example recently with their not having to replace mid one was, and they still did quite
10
well.
seconds
So I guess it
remaining.
goes to show that there are, sure, there's communication is a very big
5
part
seconds
of
remaining.
Dota, but it can be you can mitigate a little bit if even if there are some communication issues, and people are just a lot of these pro players are so good. Everyone's kind of on the same wavelength a lot of the time anyway. But what do you make of our draft so far, Lumi? We haven't really touched on it too much. Plenty of position 4 bans. We got the Bounty Hunter Razor. Got some maybe some move speed synergy there potentially. Boom ID going for a much more team fight oriented kind of a lineup.
I think both teams are trying to find themselves in a situation where they win the first couple seconds of the fight and force the opponent to be in a running situation.
Yeah.
I think that's where heroes like Disruptor,
Execration's
Tusk,
turn to
and
bat.
Bounty Hunter get really strong. Of course, Disruptor and Tusk are excellent in kind of extending your kill streaks by finding more and more pickoff with like Ice Shards, Glimpse Back. And of course, Bounty Hunter wants their opponent to be in a running situation for multiple track
10
kills and things like that.
seconds remaining.
So I think having Razor, for example, is very good for that. He's a tanky frontliner. Once you force your opponent to run, then Razor's not exactly... I mean, he's not a good chaser by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a hard person to blow up to force
10
the Razor
seconds
team to
remaining.
run, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I should be able to tank up a
5
decent amount. The burst
seconds
damage
remaining.
from Boom is not that amazing just yet, right?
I mean, we're 2 picks in, so
Yeah,
it's too hard to read too much into it right now.
Yeah, they got tons of control. The supports just feel like they're not going to be bringing that much damage necessarily to the table. So we'll see how it goes from there. And Execration, I think, rightly realizing that there may be a little bit light on lockdown already, especially picking the Bounty Hunter as your 4. So they're just going to be banning out some relatively elusive heroes. Get rid of the Weaver, get rid of the PL. There's still plenty of options for Boom in terms of elusive cores if they really want. There's like a Storm Spirit still left. A couple other things besides.
For who? Execration?
No, for Boom. If they
Yeah, for Boom, yeah.
10
because
seconds
Execration seem
remaining.
worried about this, like, oh, we haven't really picked much lockdown or solid
5
caps
Yeah.
yet,
seconds
so we
remaining.
need to make sure that we don't get PL'd or don't have any tools to deal with Weaver at all, because those are definitely
Even just
heroes.
Quap,
Dire team
like
Yeah.
just kind of a good lane dominator is going to be good. Witch Doctor as pickup, so I mean, gives you a stun, but is not guaranteed. So your suggestion of the Storm or my suggestion of the Queen of Pain is looking better and better. They might probably wait till the last pick to pick up their mid to
10 seconds
get out
remaining.
even more information. But
Mhm.
5
in terms of
seconds
carry, I mean, there's a ton of lockdown now for Broom ID, but not too much damage. Well, Shadow Fiend is going to be their mid hero. That is going to pack a ton of damage.
Yeah, they've got lots of setup for him as well. Do you have any sort of markers that
10
you look at in
seconds
terms
remaining.
of thinking it's going to be a Magic SF build? What makes a good Magic
5
SF
seconds
game
remaining.
versus a good physical SF game? And do you feel like already this is one or the other?
I think it largely depends on the ease of a BKB for the opposing cores. So, for example, if Execration goes like, I don't know, like
Dire team back.
Lifestealer as their safe lane, it looks like it's going to be an off-lane Razor, safe lane as a final pick. Actually, never mind. Like Razor could go safe lane, Tinker could go mid, and they pick up the off lane. But to answer your question, like right now there isn't a lot of easy like
10
BKB
seconds
pyres.
remaining.
So I think the Magic build is very viable. That isn't to say that the physical
5
build is not good
seconds
either.
remaining.
I think Shadowfiend now in this game has options for either. But for example, if there's like a Lifestealer or like a really early BKB purchaser, like for example a CK, for example, from what we've seen in the last game, then I think it makes the Magic build a little bit weaker.
Yeah, certainly something to look out for. I think the other line of conversation I've seen about it is like the Magic build is quite good if you have to play a hit and run style where it's like a situation that you can't really commit to the team fight at all, because once that first stun lands, you just get completely obliterated as Shadow Fiend. That's kind of always been the case for him, right? Sometimes you end up in a situation where you can stand and just lay down auto attacks and kind of scare people off with just the raw damage output, but there are plenty of heroes that if they get up in your face, they just shred you. So, well, we'll have to see. Interesting
Boom
ban
ID
from Boom, the Lifestealer ban.
I mean, I already mentioned that it's decent against the Shadow Fiend in terms of like a good anti-magic build, but he's also very good against Disruptor, very good against Batrider, in the lane at least. So it's a good cover ban, although I'm not sure if the lanes would have really worked out, right? I kind of said Razor in the off lane, but that's not something you see too often.
Dire team pick.
Faceless Void.
I think they felt like they
I
needed
say
some
that.
more lockdown. So, offlane Void, I suppose.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Razor versus Batrider matchup? I feel like that's actually not too bad for the Bat. You can kind of kite the Razor around a little bit. More specifically about the lane, I suppose, than the general game kind of context.
I think he has some issues. Witch Doctor, if he gets a good cask, where I guess Batrider wouldn't die, but he also wouldn't be able to lane. So I think this is where Batrider probably goes for the really early pull, like before the creeps even kind of meet up. Get yourself a quick level 2, and then go from there.
You may now select your heroes.
Monkey King, interesting. Okay, so
just looking at this lineup for Boom ID, I don't think Shadow Fiend could go for a magic build, because if Shadow Fiend goes for a magic build, nobody's hitting the building. So I think Shadow Fiend is better off going for like treads, drums, SMY as your kind of early core, and then go from there depending on what you need. Probably like an early BKB would be a good place to start.
Yeah, it's certainly a safe way to build up for him this game.
I mean, I think the SCA theory of playing Dota sometimes is like, okay, you might not have a good tower pusher, but you could just kill them all and then push.
Yeah,
So
I could also see him buying Blink Yules this game and like not being completely shocked, right? In terms of the cores on Execration, they all die quite easily to a SF combo, and then the counter initiation from their supports is extremely lackluster, right? Like sometimes you're playing that build against like an Earthshaker and you just can't ever pull off the combo because you Yule somebody and then you just get interrupted mid-Requiem. But not really the case for the Execration heroes, right? It's relatively low range and has a travel time on all their interrupts from the supports.
Yep, that's definitely true.
So could go either way. But whose lineup do you like more overall? Just based on the draft.
I think I'm liking Execrations a bit more. They are lacking in terms of stun quite a bit, but
Prepare for battle.
I find that the offlane Void should be able to help out. I say that though, it's gonna be Razor going in the offlane, trying to give the Void a good safe lane to farm.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how he ends up doing. Shouldn't necessarily die to the bat. I think mid lane's going to be very interesting because I think the Tinker SF matchup is already quite Tinker favored, and then you add the Bounty Hunter on top. So I feel like Tusk is going to end up being pinned on mid pretty much this entire game, just trying to make sure that SF has an alright time of it. But big wraparound here from Boom, hoping to find the first blood. If they could, and they could get those souls into the Shadow Fiend, that would be huge. But they're going to run into Nando, and he's going to get the time walk off. Yeah, he's going to be fine.
30 seconds to battle.
Not who they were expecting to find down here. I think we're expecting to find the Razor, get a free first blood on him. I mean, SF even already skilled up the Necromaster. I think they were just really hoping to set up a first blood, give him max souls right from the start, since, as mentioned, this mid lane is not going to be easy for him.
So now, seeing the lane, they're gonna put the Batrider up top and give Monkey King the 1v1 against the melee.
The
Yeah,
battle begins.
definitely seems like a nice option. Nando really wants this bounty rune. He's going to get it, in fact.
They have Glimpse, so... Alright, I guess Shadow Fiend's gonna just peace out.
Very patiently waiting on that time walk, but
Ooh, look
Looks
at the Raging Potato.
He wants
He's
it.
going for the courier snipe.
He
but
wants the courier, but he's not going to find it. Nice
Shadow
block.
Fiend not buying that
overblock.
self. That's fine. It's getting CS. Nope. Maybe not.
No.
Alright, well
No.
that's
Overblock. Nando, alright, already swapping lanes. Execration do not want to deal with this, it looks like. Just going to try and get those matchups that they were hoping for from the start, but could still see yet more swapping coming out of Boom. And Tusk is actually just going to be heading over towards top right now. A little bit surprised that the Bounty Hunter hasn't tried to go and punch on against the Shadow Fiend a little bit. He's already, I mean, he's got 2 sentries. He's going to pop one down now on the bottom side, but unfortunately does miss this Observer Ward blocking at his camp. Action up top as we got some damage being drained from the Monkey King. Tusk going to throw himself into the firing line just to try and salvage this, but looks like he's going to be brought down. Some nice little jukes around the fog. Can he juke his way back into the trees?
Oh.
Yes, he can. The moves from this Tusk are ridiculous, and now the Monkey King able to turn around a little bit. He's trying to get some
the
Jingle stacks
glimpse.
up. Nando getting glimpse back this level, and glimpse doing so much work. Is he actually going to be brought down? That tower shot will be the thing to finish him off, and now they will be able to roll forward. They've got the Boundless Strike. Monkey King healing back up. That's 2 kills so far for Boom. Looks like Yaj is going to survive, but some fancy footwork from the Tusk.
Yo, that was some sick individual plays.
was
And
like-
then of course the Disruptor TP too. That was necessary to pick up the double kill.
Yep.
Well played.
Alright, going to be going for a little stack. Grab the bounty.
Just what
Tusk does have his level 2 picked up now. Meanwhile, over at mid, SF slightly ahead of the Tinker, but as you can already see, the laser harassment starting to add up somewhat. So, in your dream, gonna have to ferry out a little bit more. I'm not even gonna ferry out too much more regen. Just gonna grab his boots here. Does have
He'll definitely need to pick up Salve because look at Tinker's build. He's going for laser rockets. I don't think Shadow Fiend could sustain this.
the one nice thing about grabbing. Oh, I think he was hoping to grab the boots and then get an immediate kill with the level 2 raise. They had the Tusk moving over on the side to try and find something, but no real opportunity. And Raging Potato putting himself in a nice position. In your dream, if he gets forced back in between the... If he gets forced back towards base, might actually just get sniped by the Bounty Hunter. It is only... He is level 2 on the Bounty right now. And in your dream, hoping to pick up his bottle, but still needs... Yeah, he's gotta just go for the regen items, right?
In your dreams is dead, right?
I think so. It's getting slowed up. Tinker's...
Kara went for a creep. If you got the laser off, that should have been a kill. But Shadow Fiend is just getting completely dominated. The courier flies out, has salve, has clarity, but like he's just bleeding gold at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because that salve is literally just like 1 laser, and then or actually maybe 2 laser. But here comes
They're
the
coming
surprising gank.
Yeah, Batrider gank coming in. No boots on this Tinker. He's gonna get off the rockets. Is he gonna be brought down? There's not enough raises. They can't bring in all 3, and Batrider tanking way too much tower damage to stick. Now it's actually In Your Dream who's gone a little bit too far. They do get the cask off. Glimpse coming out, the Fairy Fire. I don't think that's going to be enough to save him, so he does just turn around to try and do as much damage as he possibly can before he goes down. Now Kez
Laser.
is going to be finished off. Carl grabbing that last hit. And that was a utterly disastrous gank on the mid lane.
double damage.
Yep. Shadow Fiend bot, regen item, still end up dying, and he's porting back. And yeah, Kara is going to be dominating this lane. He gets level 3 laser, and should be able to easily walk back after a heal and start dumpstering the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised to see that he gets the 3rd point in laser. They did change, what I want to say, the cooldown scaling relatively recently. Do you remember off the top of your head? Was that the... I seem to remember Tinker getting a little nerf, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
I don't recall what it is. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go check it a little bit later, but it does seem to... If that is the case, then getting some more points in laser early on does make sense. It does hamper your build overall a little bit in terms of your farm speed once you pick up your BOTs, but it doesn't really matter if you're dominating the lane. Nando gonna get stacked up here by the Jingu. They got Raging Potato coming around the corner as well. Gonna get the Boundless Strike off. He really needs the heal. Is it gonna be enough? Dream of Cell. Nope. He had a dream. Now it's gone. Just getting right-click down. Did not anticipate that the Bounty Hunter would be there, and I think that little bit of extra damage helping out a lot in finishing off that kill. Okay, there's some not so great stuff happening to the boom lanes at this point. They're still finding decent CS across the board, but some unsuccessful rotations and all three of their cores going down at least once. Oh no, the Batriders managed to avoid death so far. Lumic getting chased down. He's gonna turn around, looking to try and bring down this Monkey King. In fact, is there gonna be a Boundless Strike coming out? He doesn't manage to dodge it. And Monkey King healing up a little bit more, but as Razor arrives on the scene, he's gonna end up being 1-for-1.
No gold for you.
All right, so the Tinker changed his cooldown on his laser.
Yeah.
It used to be always 14 seconds, but now it scales downwards at starting at 20, 18, 16, 14. So honestly, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, they want this Tusk. Gonna throw out the shards, but it does not matter in the slightest. That 3 points in the laser and 2 points in the missile, and Tinker is.
Oh, the glimpse back though.
Dire's bottom tower
I mean, it's
is under
inconvenient, but yeah, it's gonna elicit a pause here quickly.
That's actually one of the most satisfying things you could do as a
Just
disruptor.
glimpsing a core
Yeah.
when they TP in. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. All right, so Tinker's game is already looking relatively secure, right? He's got 1,200 gold worth of progress towards his BOTs. It's only 6 minutes in. It's looking really good. Shadow Fiend has managed to catch up a little bit while the Tinker was away. He's got his souls up and at least finding some farm. Looks like you did have kind of the right call on the overall build. Gonna be going for some treads, a drum. We'll see what he opts for after that. I think the SNY is very likely. And even more lane rotations happening as the Batrider is going to be TPing all the way down towards bottom. So just musical lanes all over the place from both teams trying to maintain these favorable matchups. Though I guess the Batrider just wants the experience down here.
I think Pike is also a pretty strong consideration this game because you're playing against a static link from Razor.
Yeah.
If he comes at you, you could pike him away. And Pike is just a good item to have if you're trying to position against the Chronosphere as well. So we might see some sort of drums Pike. Of course, that helps you siege the building.
Yep. Which is something
see.
that you mentioned, right? Is not really a strength of their lineup, especially with the Monkey King as the position one. So have to see. Monkey King still trying to finish up the majority of his like little early game items so far, so we're not going to get a clear indication as to what his build is going to be. I feel like Boom are maybe on a bit of a timer this game, right? They probably have to take some tier 1s out to really get their Batrider online. He's going to be going for a drum as well, it looks like, but it seems to me if this game goes late, I think you favor Execration. I kind of believe in the Tinker's ability to take over this game, even in the face of like scouting from the Batrider and the Sigil and stuff like that. It's just kind of hard for the Monkey King and the Shadow Fiend to play once their BKBs start wearing down.
I mean, even with the BKB, right? The fact that Chronosphere and Death Ward kind of ignores whether you're magically immune or not. There's a lot of damage even for that. You have track gold as the game goes along, so I definitely agree with the sentiment. I don't have like a good time, like past the 40-minute mark, Execration will take over. I think that would really come down to, let's say, how farmed the Shadow Fiend is, how many seconds of BKB charge he has left. But eventually, I think Execration's lineup does scale better. I'm trying to think about what Monkey King will go for item wise. Yeah. And I can't really I don't think you go Battle Fury this game because I do feel like that might be a little bit too farm heavy, considering that Shadow Fiend is definitely going to be taking the majority of the farm. But if you don't go Battle Fury, I guess you're going for more of maybe even Shadow Blade, that kind of thing, or is that too?
Seems dicey.
I'm not sure what you.
Track.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure what you go for.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you can. I guess what Echo Saber's not awful. SNY is okay. There's no one item that really stands like head and shoulders above everything, right? You sometimes see Deso, but Deso with no attack speed sounds really underwhelming. So we'll have to see what happens. The one synergy that you, I guess, kind of touched on, but we didn't really mention too explicitly in this game, is that they've got the Tinker plus Bounty Hunter. So once Tinker once he gets his Ags, there's just going to be rockets flying everywhere. If you're tracked, you're just yeah, I mean, look, even the Bat Rider is just like, all right, yo, Carl Tinker auto win. But it's going to be very, very difficult for the Tusk and the Disruptor to play this game. Once it gets a little bit later on, there's just going to be non-stop heat-seeking missiles flying at you once you get tracked, and you pretty much have no counterplay. I mean, you can buy all the Tranquil Boots and like Glimmer Capes that you want. You're still just not going to be able to approach the fights in the way that you'd like. And Tinker can be a mile away, is the other thing. He doesn't have to put himself in Bat Rider range or Glimpse range or anything to just be spamming nonstop.
Don't get tracked.
Yeah, don't get tracked. Buy some Lotus Orbs, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that does expensive items.
Okay, so Void, level 4 so far. What do you think Razor build-wise this game? This hero is always a little bit interesting to me because it feels like you have to balance building survivability to actually be able to do anything with your team versus buying farming items so that you can actually keep up the pace, because your natural farm rate on this hero is not that high. You know, it's another one of those heroes, I guess, similar to CK, where you see people sometimes like strangely using their abilities just so that they can farm. You know, we see people use Eye of the Storm just to move through the jungle and secure that little bit of extra farm just so that they can get to an item that bit more quickly. And it's kind of the same with CK with Phantasm. It's a relatively long cooldown that you're committing just to speed up your farm rate just that tiny bit more, because your hero doesn't really naturally farm all that fast.
I think this game, because Tinker is likely gonna... Oh, we already mentioned why he's gonna be one of the strongest hero in this game.
Yeah. You
let the Tinker carry, and Razor could build more like semi-carry. So maybe like Face Drums, Pike, you know, just the really good stat efficient item that allows them to fight early on. And then you allow Tinker to take over the late game.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah, they're also going to need a hero that kind of goes in before... Oh, that is not a good time to pop the Illusion Rune. Unless it drags it away, it actually does end up splitting it somewhat in your dream. Going to turn around for some damage, realizing that he is 100% dead. Raging Potato charging in there. And they had that gank rolling since before the pause. Didn't really have too much of a chance, unfortunately for him. But I agree with the idea of just kind of statting up on this Razor, especially because I think when you have Void on your team, you really want someone to scout for him and to kind of start the fight. Nando just getting charged down here by the Bat Rider. He's going to use his Time Walk now, trying to evade, but Bat's still putting down some decent damage, and this Flame Break is actually going to hurt. He does have some wand charges, so he'll be fine, but still, Void almost getting solo killed by the Bat. Not a great look for him. But it does survive where some other cores would have definitely died, so that is one of the nice things about the Void. And he's already picked up the Time Dilation, so it's not going to happen quite so easily next time around, once everything's on cooldown.
Since the break, since that kill, In Your Dreams decides to now switch it up. Gonna be going for Yules instead.
Okay.
Alright. I mean, defensively, Yules is actually a very good item this game, right?
Yeah.
Get rid of the track, dodge stuns. You can dodge Chrono if you're pretty good with it, so... Definitely see the merit here.
A gift from the temples.
Monkey King coming in. They spotted out the Witch Doctor. He's going to get glimpsed back. Does manage to pop out the cask before he gets dragged all the way in. Lumic is going to give those Jingu stacks over to the Monkey King. Boundless Strike still cooling down. Nice Shard's going to block in the Razor as well, and that is going to be In Your Dream. Hasting in. Cleanup crew. Picks up the double. Gets his revenge. And gets straight up to max souls. Definitely nice little line of play there for Boom. And he's not even done. He's chasing after Carl. That first raise is going to end up connecting. There's the short raise. He turns back around. Oh, he can't get the long one. Oh, I think he panicked a little bit. Like,
I think he had a little bit more time.
Yeah,
to
he had more
further
time.
away.
Because the raise happened, and then Tinker still stood there TPing for like one more second.
Confirm, not Yafit's.
No. definitely.
Do people even know who
definitely
Yafits is?
I hope so. I literally watched the I'm trying to remember the name of the highlight video.
Perfect as shit.
It's the perfect as shit video, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
I literally watched that.
Such a
the other
bad name,
day.
actually.
It is really bad,
Yeah.
but it's there you go. That's what we had back in the day. Nice paralyzing cast once again. Lumic on point, dodging the smoke gank. They are still going to try and go for the Razor. I don't know if he's going to be able to escape. There's the glimpse. There's the lasso. There's everything that they need to find this kill. There's going to be Raging Potato making his way in now, and actually somehow picking up that kill on the Disruptor in the midst of all of that. It's only 1 point Maledict, but just got kind of right-clicked to death, it looks like, by Lumic. There you go.
Oh yeah, Witch Doctor, base damage, no joke.
Okay, so Tinker's got his BOTs now, sub 10, looking pretty good. He's gonna set himself up another stack here. We'll check if he gets it. Come on, Carl.
Look at Nando
believe in
go.
you.
Punch him.
Yeah. Dragged out a TP here. There are 3 points up in the glimpse. He's getting dragged all the way back. He might have to use the chrono to save himself. There you go. Gonna buy himself a few more seconds on that time walk. He's got 2 stick charges. One more bash is gonna do it. He doesn't get it. Nando, what's your plan now? Oh no. Ring around the rosy, and he is gone. Meanwhile, Dream of Self waiting on the trees up here. He's gonna get tracked up. Boundless Strike to open up some space. Hop himself up. Still getting chased. Does still have the Primal Spring, however, so he's gonna be fine. Just the hopping all the way back towards his base. He is queuing up the Battle Fury.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense now that Shadow Fiend's going magic, right? Then you definitely want a little bit more physical damage from somebody else. A good mixture of damage makes them hard to somewhat itemize against you.
Raging Potato already level 6. The Tinker being online at this point is actually quite scary, because he can just turn up anywhere. Oh, Yaj maybe overextending somewhat. The lasso coming in, and once again will be Razor tanking the gank, not really finding that much farm progression as he gets brought down, and boom. Rotating a bunch of heroes up top here, looking like they probably want to transition this into a tier 1 push, if at all possible. But Shadow Fiend instead just going to go and hit some of these stacks over in the jungle. Raging Potato going to gladly steal some of this experience.
Yeah, Razor is actually a big concern right now for Execration because, like you already mentioned, the hero doesn't farm very well, and honestly, he doesn't have places to farm because the Tinker is going to take most of it.
Tinker is a farm vacuum, as some would put it. Yeah. So I don't know what his catch-up plan is. Is it a situation where you can get away with a catch-up Midas, or just not worth?
No. I think it might be too late for a catch-up Midas. I mean, it's I guess never too late, but then he's really useless for the next 20-30 minutes.
Dire's bottom tower is
Got some more scouting going up here. Raging Potato does not want to give away his ward, so he's not going to throw any tracks. Keeping tabs on In Your Dream in the river. Relatively speedy. Says hello. Thinks about heading towards top, but does not follow through. Void just going pretty standard carry Void build so far. It seems like they're really keen to make a play happen with the track and the Tinker TPing in, but have not quite been able to find the right angle. They're kind of dangling Yaj's bait once again, but it's actually over on the mid lane where the Chronosphere comes out. In Your Dream gonna let loose with the Requiem. Can they get off another set of homing missiles? Oh, shards. Raging Potato gonna be just fine. I think they both ran forward to tank the missiles in case.
Yep,
Won't be able to target the bat. Nice little bit of play. Alright, so no track kills really just yet, but it feels like Execration is still pretty much in control. Witch Doctor gonna lay down some damage onto the Disruptor here. He does have his ultimate available, getting nuked down. I think he's dead to this next tick, and the Monkey King actually stuck up on his perch there. Also in some trouble. One more lasso over on this poor Razor. Just cannot seem to catch a break as he gets dragged back into the tier 1 and finished off. Snowball forward, I think not destined to connect, but there is an Ice Shards. Though nobody came along with Jokam, so what do you know? Just gonna end up being Yaj dead once again.
Alright, this Razor's game is actually done. Like, I don't know what he could do. He's not a hero where he could really take advantage of, let's say, a pretty good Chronosphere either, so... I guess his job in the fight is to just run at the Monkey King and link him. Push him out of his Wukong command, but... I'm not sure if he could do that. I feel like at this point he runs in and he's been trying to do just that and he just dies. Just doesn't have the item to play that frontline role.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. It doesn't feel like there's, you know, he just needs a bunch of stats. There isn't a single item that's really gonna solve.
Track
the
kills?
problem.
Is that the solution?
Maybe. Track kills until you can buy Aeon Disc. Then you're set.
Track kills into Midas for more gold.
Yeah. I'm down. Alright, Batrider now has his drum. They're gonna be looking for another kill.
Oh, Raging Potato!
Oh, he
Going
tried
for
for the
that
courier.
snipe.
Meanwhile, they're gonna find Nando and Lumic over here. Looks like the Witch Doctor is 100% dead. There is a Chronosphere available. Nando asking his teammates as to what their situation is, whether they can come TPing in. He does manage to jump away. The Jingu stacks are up. He's now gonna drag back into the Static Storm and Kelp in there by the Ice Shards. Beautifully played by Joachim on poor Yaj once again, getting lassoed up. But it's actually the Batrider sticking himself on the cliff. Tinker arriving in this fight a little bit off to the side. We do have the Monkey King jumping around. Track up onto the Disruptor. He'll be finished off, and it just ends up being 2 for 2 overall. In Your Dream sitting here waiting to protect the Bat, who still has a few seconds until the Firefly. Now another track coming up. Shadowfiend might be in some trouble, and this could be the turnaround that Yaj was looking for. He's been involved in most of these track kills and finds a huge recovery. Straight up to 1,500 gold. And Batrider opting not to TP out. Looks like he got spotted maybe by the sentry ward getting planted, and now they're just chasing after him. Carl's still blinking. He does manage to stay over the cliffs, avoiding the damage for the time being. Still juking. He's only got a few seconds of Firefly left, though. I don't know how he makes it out of this. His Tranquil Blitz are unbroken. He's faster, but the track is going to help out. Raging Potato closing the gap. There's the Shuriken. That should be a kill. Tinker already becoming so difficult to deal with. 8.4k net worth, 16 minutes in.
Boom needs to play on the offensive. If they don't play on the offensive, and the team fight will likely drag out for quite a bit, because both teams are not exactly, you know, have a ton of burst damage or control. So there's going to be a lot of hit and run, and you're playing hit and run against a Tinker that could always rocket for so much damage.
Yeah, and now he's got his Kaya on top of all that. So very scary. I would guess at this point probably just goes into the Ags. Maybe you get an Aether Lens if you really want, but it seems like you can just aim for a big ticket item at this point.
No joke, I think Dagon is also like fine if you want to go for that.
Just one-shot people.
Yeah, it's gonna go for the standard Ags.
It just
choice.
feels really safe. And you don't have to put yourself really that far out of position.
I mean, if you want to go really memey and say if you go Lincolns, rearm the Lincolns. And Lincoln's is a fine item this game, but probably not gonna get it right now.
Yeah, seems a little bit unlikely. All right, the Execration kill squad is out, looking for blood. Monkey King, the very likely target. Is he going to get scouted here by a plasma field? That's the big question. He's hopping around the trees. They have an idea of where he is. Can they close in on him? No, looks like he's going to be okay. And he jumps back down, in fact. How long till the plasma field is up? 3 seconds. Nando's cutting the wave. He is leading them on a merry chase. Oh, they got the track. Oh no. Run, Monkey King. He's dead. Oh, he's so dead. He just got Quelling Bladed. Who needs Chronosphere when you've got a Quelling Blade, honestly? Who needs
Quelling Blade?
4 seconds
Longer
stun.
stun duration.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's only got a 4-second cooldown as opposed to a 140-second cooldown. There you go. That's some value for you.
Man.
Right. Meanwhile, they did lose the bottom tier 1. Ooh. Nice vision for the glimpse back. They're going to get this kill on the Bounty Hunter. Requiem unloaded. Taking some damage, however, on the Tusk. And Carl just going to go rocketing his way forward. He's not done just yet. Still playing pretty aggressively, straight up onto the high ground. Knows that the Requiem is on cooldown. And looking like he's going to kill this Disruptor in just a second. Yeah, there's the rocket. The glimpse back onto him. Gets stuck into the Boundless Strike. Might be brought down. He's pretty fast. And only has to run for another couple of seconds as the Shadow Fiend does get brought down on the back line. So he's going to try and lay down the Wukong's command. Himself fighting for dear life here. And it is still ticking down little by little to the Maledict. Carl could have probably gone back to base, healed up, and come back in the interim, but alright, he's just.
He was out of mana, and he
needed
found
to get
like
some
a rune.
sips. Okay.
Yeah.
Still, he's got 2.5k gold towards his eggs. What do you feel like the Tinker counter is at the moment, Lumi? Because I've seen people complaining about it in pubs, that people are just like locking in Tinker, and what do you do? You can gank him, but it feels like some of the traditional counters like Nyx Assassin are just like Nyx and Clockwork. You can just kind of play around to a certain extent.
Yeah, I like Zeus quite a bit.
Yeah.
Get that Nimbus going. Rough him up pretty good. Batrider is always fine. I've seen PL actually work. You just jump into trees and just get him.
Oh, we've seen
Like
this story
even when
before.
Tinker's, yeah, Storm obviously is always good. Clockwork. There's quite a bit. It just depends on what role you play.
Yeah. And what picks you still have available in the competitive setting. Alright. As we saw earlier, SF does have his Yules up. Tinker with an Arcane Rune bottled. Oh boy. 1k gold to his Ags. Will not quite be able to line those two things up, I don't think. Has opted for the Spell Lifesteal talent here. I've seen both a decent amount. I think I even personally lean towards the movement speed a little bit. I don't know if with your health pool as Tinker that the Lifesteal always helps out that much, though you are Soul Ringing yourself, so I guess that's...
That seems really counterintuitive, the movement speed, because I mean, how much are you walking, right? Aren't you always supposed to be blinking?
You are often always supposed to be blinking, but I think it also... there are some situations where it's worth it to walk, and it's... the way I think about it is that it's just kind of survivability. I don't know how much the spell lifesteal... like, positioning is survivability on Tinker, right? The spell lifesteal is never going to save your life, but the 40 move speed, maybe you run far enough away from something that you can get your blink back off cooldown. And then make it out. Oh, nice 2-man Chronosphere coming in. The Monkey King locked down. Likely to just get bursted here, and he will. There's the track. Extra money. They're going to pop the drum charge, but it's just to lay down the retreat. Disruptor TPing all the way back to the fountain. Full HP, full mana, but just not feeling safe at all. As Shadow Fiend thinks about sticking around a little bit. He does have his Blink Yules, so if the Tinker makes a solo appearance, maybe he could get a quick solo kill, which would be nice. But no small feat. And now the Tinker also has his Aghanim Scepter.
Okay, so this Batrider needs to play like the best Batrider in the world after he picks up the blink, because the rest of his team has absolutely zero impact. And honestly, they shouldn't, because none of them have like a really
the
good...
Rockets, Lumi, are you watching this?
Yeah, I'm watching this.
Oh, he's gonna get one shot. Ooh, there you go.
Okay. That's a lot of gold.
Oh, the Paralyzing Cask is just bouncing everywhere. They got the Vision. Now the Shuriken bouncing through. I think he's actually already dead. Just doesn't know it yet. One more auto attack is going to do it. Now Yaj comes sliding in. He's looking relatively tanky, but does have to man down somewhat in the face of the Wukong's command. Still going to get stuck in there with the shards. Meanwhile, on the backlines, Tusk getting auto attack to death. We'll be able to throw out one last Urn Charge as we have yet another lasso used on this poor Razor. It feels like the only person who the lasso is targeted this game. Lumik and Nando still want this kill. Nice little blink over the top from Saint De Lucas. But in the end, 3 for 2, well, 3 for 3, a couple of track kills, though the Tinker does get brought down, and Shadow Fiend claims a nice little bounty as a result. So probably worth it for Boom. Gonna be relatively happy with that, though they are just slipping further and further behind with every passing minute.
That track is actually doing a ton of work. I mean, every team fights at least like 2 kills with tracks.
Yeah, I mean their net worth lead isn't to the point where it would start like falling off how much gold they're getting from the enemy team, but little bit of extra money has... I mean, look at this Razor. He's catapulted right back into the game. There was a point where he looked like he was just completely done, no hope. And yeah, it's not like he sat back and tried to farm. He just kept building these efficient items and turned up to the fights. Oh, Monkey King. Dead once again. Nice little sidestep from the Tinker.
Yeah, Raging Potato gave him the Chronosphere.
Chronosphere on a stick. It's scary. I mean, Raging Potato is queuing up a Deso at the moment.
I like it.
He's convinced that this game is like is done already. Oh, Carl getting chased. Oh, and sends some rockets back. Lumic is gonna manage to pick up In Your Dream, and then this is just a shambles. Everybody's getting picked up on Boom. Nice little glimpse away is gonna help keep the Batrider alive for a little bit longer, but those rockets are flying. Disruptor gonna realize that there's maybe some vision back here, but he's actually just being scattered. There isn't even a ward. He's queuing up a gem. He's like, oh lord, we just need whatever desperate foothold we can get back into this game. But I don't even think even if he like could create the gem out of thin air at this point, I don't know if it would do anything. Oh, Monkey King, don't get
Oh god,
there's no quelling blade, but what is he? He's just chilling out, waiting for somebody else to turn up. Nando's already got that tower, and he's maybe already out of there. Yep, straight into the Shadow Blade.
By the way, just to continue on a very non-serious conversation that we had in the past.
Yeah.
The Execration lineup is actually pretty good for the Omaiwa Mo Shinderu.
Yeah, it really is.
You got Maledict, you got the Rockets.
Yeah.
You got the Urn.
Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier with the Shadow Fiend's Maledict. I'm glad that you also...
Oh, I'm always on the lookout for the Omaiwa Mo Shinderu.
Well, Raging Potato gonna get spotted out here. The smoke broke. They pop the dust. They find him over here on the side. They will be able to clean him up. SF gonna send himself skywards. Is now, well, Batrider not gonna be quite so lucky. Tinker's just bouncing around everywhere. Rockets here, rockets there. When will it stop? Triple kill, ultra kill. In Your Dream is the only one able to escape. It's just missiles everywhere. Nando has the Chronosphere in 5 seconds time. Will not be able to close the gap on SF. He's quite fast. He opted for his 40 move speed talent. But they're just getting... It's just like an artillery barrage at this point.
Yep. Tinker is your hero this game.
Good pick. I mean, they picked it into the Bat and the Disruptor, right? But Carl has just not cared at all. He kind of won his lane and then completely took over the game.
Yeah, I think part of it is also the lack of a Batrider. Like, Batrider picked up Blink Dagger at what, 22 or something? Which is...
And at that point, the game already felt like it was just so far gone.
Gold is a great conductor.
Tinker gonna be going for a Hex, which is probably like the nail in the coffin. He now gets to even be more obnoxious.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, anybody that he sees is just dead. The Shadow Fiend, at least before, had the hope of just using yourself and then blinking away, or something like that. But if you're just perma-hexed, what are you gonna do? The one thing I will say as somebody who's played a little bit of Tinker recently is that especially Tiny or anybody with enough status resistance, the perma-hex becomes much more stressful. You're used to a specific timing, kind of, on the chain hex, and watching the stun bar go down like 1/3 is, or 2/3 as fast as faster than you're expecting is really disconcerting. But not a problem this game. There's a BKB on the Shadow Fiend, that's gonna help, but I mean he's bought almost nothing but defensive items at this point. Kind of.
Yep. Despite the fact that he's gone for this magic build, which is supposed to excel in kills.
Oh,
he's only got 5 kills.
Disruptor's dead, there's an Aegis Void chasing after them with the double damage. On the other side, they will be able to burst down the Bounty Hunter, but that's the extent of all of SF's items, and he's just getting drained up. They will be able to lay down the Wukong's command. Yaj still fairly tanky. He'll be able to run himself out. Not quite so lucky as the Shadow Fiend. He's gone. Karl's just chilling here at the end of the Wukongs, auto-attacking the Shrine a little bit. Now he's running forward. Throwing out some rockets. Dream Cell has been able to get into his Shadow Blade once again. Fortunately, they killed off the Bounty Hunter earlier in the fight. But Nando's just charging in. Clicks down the ranged Drax. Onto the melee. Tinker will be joining them shortly. And at that point, they should be able to keep on going. I mean, there's not even any cooldowns available for Boom. Even if they had the heroes, not really going to be able to fight.
I think this game is showing why teams first pick Bounty Hunter. You know, we're talking about how Yaj has been struggling non-stop. He just kept doing the same thing that he did, which is join fights, get track gold, and just shot up.
There's not that many sources of like additional income now, especially with some of the jungle and like ancient readjustments. It feels like we're not seeing teams try and use those sources of like kind of getting a little incremental advantage against the other team, but Bounty Hunter's kind of always there, right? You get a 1-for-1 position 5 for position 5 trade, and you're like, well, we got a track kill. You're fine. So, seems to I can see the case for more Bounty Hunter picks. It feels like you do need to be careful, especially with making sure that your position 4 or your position 3, sorry, is bringing enough lockdown to the table. But so long as you fulfill that requirement, I feel like the Bounty Hunter is really good. And they're using the vision so well this game. What they got going on here? Oh, they spotted the Batrider up on the hill. Karl does go blinking into the Firefly. He's in a little bit of trouble. Does get forced out a bit further up. Will now be able to turn around and unload. Zaps down 1. Chronosphere going to connect onto 2. Nando's going to right-click them down before they give the Tinker this opportunity to find any further kills. Nando's Aegis looks like it might get popped in your dream. Running for dear life. Might be able to heal himself up and then blink out. Nope, looks unlikely. One more auto attack going to connect. Nando with the triple. GG's already been called, and that will be Execration taking game 1 in convincing fashion.
I mean, it wasn't convincing until
I don't know.
12th. I mean, the ending was very convincing.
Yeah, but the Tinker as well. I feel like Tinker just
Tinker.
Yeah, he had like what? He had 1.2k gold towards his BOTs at like 6 minutes. It was just
that's true.
They could have. I mean, there was the potential for them to kill him in that little window, but they just never really found it. I think if that gank from the Tusk had connected when the Shadow Fiend picked up boots, I don't want to call that a desperation play because it's just a smart little play, but they really wanted to find that timing of Tusk runs over with level 2 as Shadow Fiend gets level 3. They triple raise him and start to turn that lane a little bit more, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, as I recall, they had a good ward just like seeing the rotation from Tusk.
Yeah, he wasn't smoked, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the one thing I always appreciate about Lumic. His drafts are always like pretty good and always finds a very good, solid 1-2 final pick to like completely punish the other team. Well, we'll see if he's able to do it from the next game, but it's been around the scene for a long time. He's often very underappreciated as a captain in the SEA region, but
yeah, I feel like
doing well here.
He's flown under the radar somewhat. It was so interesting having him on the panel at the Major League. Actually, he really had a lot of very valuable insight. But thanks everybody for tuning in. We are going to head into game 2 shortly. We're going to have to see if this is going to be yet another 2-0. I think we've had nothing but 2-0s here in the Bucharest Major SEA Qualifier, so we'll have to see if Boom ID can buck that trend. But thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.